American Outlook. I'm your host, Anthony Altavilla, and today we have the founder of Elevated Existence magazine, Tammy Masterbirdy.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Tammy. I'm well. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Now, it was okay getting here? You didn't get lost or anything?
No.
Okay, that's good. Now, for people who don't know, can you go into what Elevated Existence is?
Yes. So, Elevated Existence magazine started as just an online publication about 6 years ago. And since then, we've kind of grown into, it's available, you can buy single issues in print and have them shipped to you. And we've also grown into a full website. We have a weekly newsletter that goes out. We launched a brand new telesummit last year, which is a 3-month-long summit where we interview people live online. You can listen as well as calling in twice a week. So we launched that last year as well, and we're kind of broadening our scope as we go. But the cornerstone of it is really the website and the quarterly magazine.
Okay. Now, you've been in the magazine industry for 16 years?
Yes.
How'd you get involved in it?
I actually went to William Patterson University, and when I first started in the college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I could write. I knew that I was good at writing, and people always told me that I was good at it. It came very easily to me. So I kind of went in undeclared, and then eventually knew that this is something that I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do, I just knew I wanted to do writing, and lucky for me, they actually had an English writing concentration. Because I really didn't want to do English lit, I wanted to do the writing piece. So they had that, so I was able to actually get a degree in English writing. And it wasn't until my senior year that I realized, you know, I really should get some type of a job or start doing something at least part-time in the writing field. I still didn't know if I wanted to get into newspapers, into book publishing. I wasn't really sure. So what I did was the summer before my senior year of college, I started looking in the newspaper to see if there was any kind of part-time jobs that I might be able to get, even if it was in PR or something that allowed me to write. And I wound up coming across a local, it was actually in Saddlebrook, New Jersey, a local company that was a publishing company that published magazines. And they were looking for a part-time editorial assistant that would, it was okay for college students. It said college students welcome. So I thought, oh, this would be great. Knew nothing about magazines, but just knew that it would get me into that field.
Do you remember the name of the company at all?
The name of the company was BPI, I think it was, and they published a bunch of different trade magazines, but the magazines I worked with were Stone and Tile, kind of like high-end corporate buildings as well as high-end homes and things like that, and it was about design and things like that. So I wound up applying for the job, and I got the job, and that's how I wound up even getting introduced into magazines. And then lucky for me, you know, most people graduate college and now they're like, oh no, I have to get a job. How am I going to get a job? Because I was already working for them, they wound up actually extending a full-time position to me. So I was able to graduate college, and then that August after I graduated, I started full-time there.
What was that first job? What did you do exactly? What did it entail?
It was an editorial assistant position. So when I first started, it was about, if you look through magazines, a lot of times in the upfront sections of the magazine, you'll see, no matter what the industry, you'll see kind of like new products or a news section before you get into the big feature articles. And so a lot of what I did was write up new products and different kind of upfront feature things. I did a lot with photos, making sure photos were filed, but I was very lucky because they allowed me to go. I would attend their meetings, and I would see how they edited the magazine, and I would see how they chose photos for them. They really included me in a lot of the whole business, even though I was only doing a piece of it. And it wasn't long before they actually allowed me to write my first feature article, which was amazing. And I think within that first year, I even wound up writing a cover story for them. So it was an amazing experience, and I was very lucky. And I was very lucky that they extended it and allowed me to have a full-time position there. Yeah,
it's impressive. Was it difficult, you found, when you first started?
No, I loved it right away. And like I said, I didn't know anything really about the industry, and I didn't know if this was what I wanted to do, but I just knew it was a writing piece. And right away, I just loved it. I loved the whole feel of it. I loved the editing of it. I loved the you know, coming up with ideas for stories and even just the whole interviewing process and writing up the stories. And not only did it come easily to me, but it was just a process that I loved and I really enjoyed. And so I kind of knew right away this is what I wanted to do.
That's good. Yeah, it's tough for people to, you know, right out of college to find something they're passionate about.
Yes, no, and like I said, for me to be able to find it before I even before I even left college. You know, a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people will, number one, they don't know what they want to do, and number two, then they're like, oh no, I have to find a job. You know, how am I going to find a job? So it really worked out amazing for me.
Now, what made you start Elevated Existence? How long ago until you left did you start your own magazine?
I actually started the magazine 6 years ago. I started it while I was still working full time. At this point, I was working in New York City for a couple of different magazines, and I started it kind of as a part-time thing because it was I just became really passionate about these kind of spiritual, new age topics, meditation, yoga, things like that. So I wound up really getting into it, and I wanted to kind of marry that love for the business with the ability to write on these topics. And I really couldn't find anything in the area, or in the New York or tri-state area, that was available, like positions. First of all, there weren't a lot of magazines 6 years ago that were covering this. And then they were mostly in California and Colorado and things like that. And so in talking to a friend of mine, I just kind of, she said, you should start a magazine, and I said, you're crazy. But then like 3 months later, I was really going full force into it, and then another 3 months later, we launched with Deepak Chopra on the cover.
Oh wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
Now, can you go more into about the spirituality aspect of it? For a little bit, we're running a little low on the first segment.
Okay. So I was brought up Catholic, so I was brought up with you know, a faith-based community, and my mother died when I was 22 years old of a brain aneurysm 3 days after Christmas in 1999. And I think when something like that happens for people, they tend to kind of start searching for answers for things. And so for me, I just started searching beyond that original faith, and that's how I really got into the whole spiritual topic outside of a religious faith-based type thing.
Okay, well, we'll touch more on it when we get back. Tammy Mastroberti, Elevate Existence. We'll be right back from the commercial.
Could you dedicate yourself to a worthy cause? Could you go the distance to keep a child healthy? Could you travel across the globe to help eliminate polio? A Rotary member could. We're dedicated to connecting children with vaccinations and ending polio worldwide. Could you help change the world? Rotary, humanity in motion. This is a tree that was never chopped down to make a crutch that was never needed by a child who never got polio, because medicine was never in short supply, thanks to people whose compassion wasn't either. Over the past 20 years, Rotary Club members have helped immunize over 2 billion children against polio. Thanks to them, the world will soon be polio-free. Rotary, humanity in motion.
In 1985, while polio was paralyzing 1,000 children a day, Rotary International committed to a goal of ending polio worldwide. Very soon now, after contributing nearly $600 million and immunizing over 2 billion children, the goal will be achieved. Eradicating polio worldwide. That is humanity in motion. That is Rotary. Does peace really have a chance within our lifetime? At Rotary, we believe it does. We've created programs at universities around the world, dedicated solely to teaching peace to a new generation. There's a new symbol for peace. Rotary.
Welcome back to Bergen Outlook. We're here with Tammy Mastroberti, founder of Elevated Existence magazine. Now, before the break, we were talking about your mom. A touchy subject. She died when, how old were you?
I was 22, she was 53.
Right, and it was a brain aneurysm.
Brain aneurysm, correct.
Now, did that really spark your interest in spirituality?
Yeah, it completely brought me to kind of this place where I started just questioning a lot of different things. And I think people, whether it's a death or some people get diagnosed with an illness, there's some kind of major life event that really kind of pushes people to start looking for answers, for more, for reasons. And so for me, I just really started, you know, looking for answers to, you know, why things are happening and what happens after we die and things like that. And my sister at the time was very interested in this this guy who was very popular at the time. His name was George Anderson. He was a psychic medium, and he was just becoming popular. He had just come out with his first book that he wrote himself. He had books written about him called Lessons from the Light. And she read the book, and he was featured, I think, on a Lifetime special. I think Primetime did a whole segment on him, and so he was really becoming popular. A lot of TV shows were covering him, and she was really convinced that because there was no closure with my mother, it's not like there was an illness and we said goodbye or anything. She was convinced we had to go see this guy. And so I was kind of skeptical. I was like, you know, it was a lot of money at the time, and I was like, you know, I don't know, this is a little nuts. So, so this was before, you know, a lot of the computer stuff where you could just book things online or whatever. So we had to do everything through the mail. So I lied about my name. I lied about my telephone number. We used like a friend's business address, and because I thought, well, I don't want him to be able to research anything. And so it was about 10 months after she died that we went to finally go see him. And we went to, it was a conference room in a hotel in Long Island. And it was an hour session that I still have the tape from, actually.
Oh, wow.
And honestly, I mean, like I said, I was totally skeptical. I didn't really tell a lot of people what I was doing. And I went in, and it literally, that hour, I can honestly say to you, completely changed my entire life. Like, I literally walked out of there. I mean, me and my sister cried the whole entire hour, and we walked out of there thinking, oh my gosh, like this, there was just no way. I mean, I don't care what kind of research he did, there was no way. He knew the things that he knew. And so when you go through something like that, and people who've been to readings like that, I think, when you go through something like that, it really changes your outlook on everything. It just kind of, it's almost like you can't look at life the same way anymore. And so for me, it just really changed everything for me. And I started reading more books about him, and then, you know, one thing led to another, and I started getting into other spiritual topics and other, you know, I started meditation and things like that. And so my interest really grew from that one experience. And so I do think, and that was about 10 months after she died, and so that's about maybe 15 years ago at this point.
Yeah, when people, you know, go through traumatic events such as loss or, you know, in mourning, they tend to turn to negative things to, you know, make them feel better. But you've turned to such a positive
yeah, I mean, I was
really
lucky.
Brought you a long way.
I was lucky, and honestly, I'm thrilled that my sister talked me into going to that, because instead of going down that hole, it really it allowed me to kind of find meaning in things. And I think when you can find meaning in something, no matter how horrible it is, it allows you to cope with it better, and it allows you to move forward. I think without some kind of a meaning, people will struggle more.
Now you interview mediums, right?
I interview a lot of different spiritual teachers, and I've interviewed James Van Prague, who's a very famous medium. I have some friends who are lesser known, but amazing. Yeah.
Would you like to talk about any experiences you've had with recently with any mediums, if you've been to one?
Recently.
You know what? We'll get back to it after the commercial.
Sure.
Okay.
Could you dedicate yourself to a worthy cause? Could you go the distance to keep a child healthy? Could you travel across the globe to help eliminate polio? A Rotary member could. We're dedicated to connecting children with vaccinations and ending polio worldwide. Could you help change the world? Rotary, humanity in motion. This is a tree that was never chopped down to make a crutch that was never needed by a child who never got polio, because medicine was never in short supply, thanks to people whose compassion wasn't either. Over the past 20 years, Rotary Club members have helped immunize over 2 billion children against polio. Thanks to them, the world will soon be polio-free. Rotary, humanity in motion.
In 1985, while polio was paralyzing 1,000 children a day, Rotary International committed to a goal of ending polio worldwide. Very soon now, after contributing nearly $600 million and immunizing over 2 billion children, the goal will be achieved. Eradicating polio worldwide. That is humanity in motion. That is Rotary. Does peace really have a chance within our lifetime? At Rotary, we believe it does. We've created programs at universities around the world, dedicated solely to teaching peace to a new generation. There's a new symbol for peace. Rotary.
Welcome back to Bergen Outlook. I'm your host, Anthony Altavilla, here with Tammy Mastroberti, founder of Elevated Existence. Now, before we spoke about George Anderson,
yes,
the medium. Can you, if you remember, can you tell us about what he really said to you about your mother?
I mean, there was a lot of different things, but within that hour, you know, right away he hit on the fact that she, you know, he said she's telling me, you know, in essence, she just dropped dead, you know, for lack of a better word.
Wow.
She just went right, you know, and I said, you know, we were like, you know, yes, that's what happened. And he knew her name. He got names of so many different relatives that have passed. He talked about specific things, and not even just specific things that were happening in my life. Like, for example, he said, you know, your mother was congratulating you on a new job, and the month before I had just started at a brand new magazine. So he talked about specific things like that, but he talked about things that maybe I was thinking, like, you know, that because nobody was really there with her when the aneurysm happened, and, you know, you have guilt for that. And so he talked about a lot of things like that, like she knows you think you could have done something.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people, I think, that go through something like that, they think I should have done something, or I could have stopped this from happening. And, you know, just that reassurance of there was nothing you could have done. This was meant to happen. And don't feel bad that you weren't there. So different things like that, he said. But he was very specific. One thing that really floored us, to be honest with you, at the end of the whole entire reading, my mother was brought up Catholic, very devoted to the Blessed Mother. We had, you know, she said her rosary every night. If she wanted the weather to be nice outside, she'd put the Blessed Mother statue in the window. So she was very, very devoted. And at the end of the session, we stopped the tape, and he said, now I know why I bought these things. He's like, sometimes I buy something and I don't know why. And he walked over, and in his briefcase, he had prayer cards that were from the Blessed Mother and a big picture of the Blessed Mother. And he handed the Blessed Mother picture to my sister, who had recently been married, and said, your mother wants you to have this in your house. And then he handed both of us these prayer cards. And we were just, you know, floored, because how would he know how devoted she was to something like that? So like I said, that it was just a really amazing experience that I'm extremely grateful for, and I talk openly about it because I think so many people should, you know, who may be suffering, should look into something like that, because it's really fantastic when you go to the right person.
Yeah, it's good. It's almost scary, but, you know, it does help people that are going through times like this.
100%.
Yeah. Now, besides mediums, you've interviewed celebrities.
Yes.
Would you care to talk about a few celebrities?
Sure. So I've interviewed hip-hop mogul Russell Simmons twice. He's amazing, very, very devoted to meditation and yoga.
I remember the issue.
Yes, he's fantastic. I've interviewed Shirley MacLaine. We gave her an award. Our magazine gives an award every year called the Spiritual Service Award for people who've dedicated their lives to kind of uplifting the consciousness of other people in the world. And she's definitely one of them. She's written on these topics. So I actually flew to her house in Malibu and interviewed her there, and that was fantastic. And we've interviewed Alanis Morissette, Melissa Etheridge, a number of different people.
Okay, well, we'll talk about more after the commercial.
Sure.
Okay. Actually, before that, I do want to say, how do you get in touch with these people?
The different celebrities? I usually, what we do on our staff is go through publicists. I mean, that's how you'll get, and even a book author, you want to go through the publicist to get them for an interview, because they're the ones who kind of filter that for them.
Okay. Now, are there any other notable celebrities?
There's a lot of different celebrities. We've also spoken to very big, well-known authors. Well, there's Jane Fonda. We interviewed her as well. Okay. And very well-known authors like Deepak Chopra, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson is a huge author. Really? Louise Hay. Gabrielle Bernstein, who's kind of newer to this world. We've interviewed her. So we really try to get people who are different, and I love interviewing celebrities because I think regular people kind of put them on this pedestal and think, but they have the same problems as everybody else. Yeah. So I love interviewing them because they'll be the first ones to tell you, like, this is what saved me, or this, these beliefs and the meditation and yoga are what helped me. It's not the money, it's not the fame, it's my belief system.
Yeah,
and so
it's fascinating to see these people turn to something that people like you and me.
Right, absolutely.
Turn to.
Yeah, I mean, Alanis Morissette was she said that when the fame really hit her, she wasn't ready for it, and it was literally these beliefs that helped her, and she realized, like, oh, I achieved this American dream, and I'm still not happy. This isn't it.
Now, who was your favorite to interview, if you have a favorite?
Oh, my favorite author to interview was Dr. Wayne Dyer, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's.
What did you guys talk about?
Well, at the time, he had just come out with a new book, so we talked about that, and he was also going through an illness at the time. Okay. So we spoke. He was very open and candid about that as well, and we gave him our spiritual service award one year. So we interviewed him about that, and we sent him the award, and he was really just fantastic, and he's really one of the people that first got me into this after I moved on from George Anderson. Dr. Wayne Dyer's book, The Power of Intention, is really what kind of catapulted me, I think, more into the spiritual world. Okay,
that's very interesting. What are some of the things your company offers?
We have the magazine, which is quarterly. We have the actual newsletter, which is, right now it's a monthly newsletter, but I also do an editor's advice newsletter that goes out once a month. And we are launching our second season of our new telesummit, which is the Living an Elevated Existence Summit, where we interview 24 to 26 authors. And that will be launching January 13th, and that'll run through April. And I'll be teaching a class called Uncovering Signs and Synchronicity, and it's a free online class that starts on Monday. So if you go to my Facebook page, Tammy Mastroberti's fan page, because Elevated Existence also has a Facebook page, you can click on that, and you can sign up for free. It's a free class.
Okay. Do you do internships at the company?
Yes. Absolutely.
How would someone go about getting one?
They can actually just email me at tammy@elevatedexistence.com, and yeah, there's so many different things with not just the magazine, but with the website that we can provide and give training in. And because I got training when I was younger, I love kind of helping other people out in that way as well.
Now, would you encourage people trying to get an internship so that maybe you can inspire a passion that it was BP, your first?
It was BPI, I think it was the name of it, if I remember. I'm not sure.
Would you encourage that so you can inspire passion in someone?
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely think that anybody who might be interested in it should try and get an internship and kind of feel their way through it and see if that's something, because there's a lot of things you can do in the publishing world. There's book publishing, there's magazine publishing, there's newspapers, there's strictly online, online websites, blogs. There's so many different things now today than when I first started. So I would definitely try and get a feel for these different options and see what kind of talks to you and speaks to you that you would want to continue in.
Okay. Now, real quick, I just want to get this out of the way. Have you ever thought about writing novels? You speak very well. You write very well. Has that ever crossed your mind?
Yeah, not. I mean, who knows? But I'm working right now on more of some nonfiction things. Right now, I want to write a memoir, and I want to kind of write more on the nonfiction. So I'm working on that right now. Okay. And then, fiction, who knows? But in terms of a novel, I'm working on the nonfiction end of it. So that'll definitely be coming up.
I'm very excited for it.
Thank you.
Now, people can find out about your company, your Facebook, your Twitter.
Yes, Twitter is at Elevated Mag or at Elevated Tammy. Instagram is at Elevated Tammy, and Facebook is just Elevated Existence. Or you can go to elevatedexistence.com as well for the magazine itself.
Okay, well, that's about all the time we have. We are going to end here. This has been Bergen Outlook. I'm your host, Anthony Altavilla. Tammy Mastroberti, founder of Elevated Existence. Thank you. Be safe. Everyone have a great day.